A local Utah athlete fresh off of her time on The Ultimate Fighter. We get the inside scoop from semifinalist Kaytlin Neil. Also, one of the biggest summer events at UOP. We learn more about how to get involved this week coming up. Imagine getting on a reality TV show, not like The Bachelor or Love Island, but a reality show based around fighting, where you meet the biggest names in the entire business. You are coached by the greatest female fighter of all time, and by the end, there's a chance that you end up fighting for the biggest promotion in the entire world. That is Utah's Kaytlin Neil, who had the opportunity just a few months ago, and with her tough coach Amanda Nunes fighting for the belt this weekend, we thought it'd be a good time to talk to her a little bit about her time on the show. Hey everyone, right now we are hanging out with Kaytlin Neil, who actually just came off The Ultimate Fighter. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course, happy to be here.
Your time on the show kind of just finished up, I should say, this past week. Next week is going to be the finale with Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena. How has life been coming back to regular life? I know you've been back for a while, but how has it been now knowing that the episode is over, the season is kind of coming to a close and things like that?
Filmed back in like February, March, and so it's weird to have to like relive everything as you go, because people are reaching out and saying like, congratulations, or oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for your loss, or whatever. And I'm like, that happened like months ago, I'm over it, but it's like fresh in people's minds. So I think that part has been like pretty interesting. But the whole experience has just been like awesome.
So when did you guys film? I'm trying to remember now.
Yeah, so it was at the beginning of February to the middle of March. So we were in the house for 5 weeks total, and we quarantined for a week before.
When it comes to watching the show back, do you have anything that you're like, oh, I didn't think that they would, play it out like that? Or were there any weird edits to the show that you were kind of surprised by?
Like very, very small weird edits. But other than that, not really. I think a lot of what you saw is like what you got. I think some people were complaining about what edits they got, but I'm like, you said the thing. Like, they didn't change your words, so yeah.
I remember there was a reel or a TikTok that came out where you said like, may the edits ever be in your favor, and kind of making that joke. And I was worried. I was like, I hope that they don't turn you into a bad person, because you're so nice.
Yeah, well, I was kind of worried. I didn't think I was going to be a villain. I don't think I did anything that was like villainous, but I was trying to get people to think that I was. But also I was a little bit worried for the last fight coming up, because I did lose. So I thought they were going to like pull all the parts that made me look cocky and then just show me getting my butt beat up. Yeah. And so they did like slightly do that a little bit, but it wasn't bad at all.
It was a super fun season to watch, and it's been so interesting to watch this entire experience. For you, what was it like to be a part of the UFC, to be there with Amanda Nunes, Juliana Pena, Dana's there watching your fights? What was it like for you?
It was so cool. I mean, it was everything I dreamed of. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I've always wanted to do that. And I think the first time I saw Amanda Nunes, I was like, holy crap, there she is in person. Like, I just see her doing so many cool things on the TV that I'm like, there she is in real life. She's like a real human. She's not just like this fighter person in a cage. But it was also cool to meet Dana. I was backstage before my very first fight on the show, and he comes back, he's like, hi, I'm Dana White, nice to meet you, and shakes my hand. And I was just like, hi. And then I like turned around and walked away, and he was like, okay. Like, he kind of like felt like that was like a weird interaction, but I was just so starstruck, I didn't even know what to do.
He is as starstruck as we've both now, I also got the chance to meet Dana White a couple weeks ago. He's the most normal person. He's the nicest person, but like, he's just larger than life. Oh, yeah. It's just crazy to see him. I mean, I don't know if that's how you felt. It was just so scary to probably talk to him.
Well, yeah, and I'm kind of doing like a job interview at the time, so I was like terrified,
Right. Did it feel like that almost like a long form like job interview being on The Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah, pretty much. I think they're seeing your personality, how marketable you are, and then how well you fight and how well you handle pressure. So I think it is just like they say it's the world's toughest job interview.
It absolutely is. It's such a difficult thing to probably go through. And I wanted to come back actually really quickly to Amanda Nunes. What was it like learning from probably the consensus greatest female fighter of all time?
Yeah, I mean, it was so cool because she's knocked like everybody out that you thought was like the best of all time. She knocked them out. So she's like the best to ever do it. So it was pretty cool just to like learn from her, see what she does, see how she trains, and kind of just be able to be with her every single day. And then not even that, is just like see her as a person and as a mom. She is actually like a really cool, funny person. And I wish they would edit her like how she actually is, because I think they make her look like really tough and like causing drama or like whatever when she got in Julie's face at the very end of the show. But she is seriously so funny. Like, she is hilarious. Her and her wife Nina are just like such a good time, so fun to be around, and just super positive people.
Did it almost have like was it almost like a plus to be able to also learn from Nina? Because Nina's also a UFC veteran, a very talented fighter herself. So it wasn't that you were just learning from Amanda, you were also learning from Nina.
Yeah, so Nina was more my size. So she sparred with me leading up to both of my fights, and she trained with me, she drilled with me. So I was so happy that she was there and that she was able to kind of like help me and guide me too.
One of my big questions that I was wondering just this past week when I was watching this episode was, you're cutting weight and Amanda takes you all out to this big dinner. They didn't really show you much. They showed one shot of you and you're, poor thing, you look so tired and hungry. How was that? What was that like?
That was the weird editing part. So that actually happened the night of weigh-ins. And I just looked hangry because I hadn't gotten my food yet, and I was watching Claire eat her food. So I actually could eat, and I could eat whatever I wanted, but they hadn't brought my steak out yet. And so I was gonna eat a steak. And I didn't realize how bad my F was that night, but I definitely had it. And I was like, oh, I look like I'm miserable, but I was actually having a really good time. That was like one of my favorite nights of my life. It was such a fun night.
Oh my gosh. Okay, because yeah, from our point of view, it was that you hadn't even weighed in yet, and it's just like the night. It looked like the night before. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was like, that's kind of messed up to have to put you in that situation. But
no, Amanda was actually really considerate. So she took us out the night of weigh-ins or after weigh-ins, and then she even like went up to the chef and was like, hey, she's fighting tomorrow. Could you like get her steak out right now because she's been waiting for a little bit? And so she actually like really did care. Wow. Yeah.
And it seems like you and Amanda have stayed in contact. How has that been?
Yeah. So I mean, she's busy getting ready for a fight. We'll kind of like comment back and forth on each other's like social medias and stuff. But we still have like a group chat with everybody from the team in there. So we still hear from her a lot. And me and a few of my other Team Nunes teammates are going out to go watch her fight in Texas next week. So
that is going to be a huge fight. And I wanted to ask you, obviously, I probably know who you're picking, but is there any sort of inside scoop? Is there anything that you know specifically that Amanda said, like, that last fight, this was happening or this was going on? Is there anything like that you know of?
I did know that she was dealing with some like knee issues then. And so I don't know if that affected her training at all or what, but I just don't see this second fight being a problem for her.
I personally don't either. As a fan, I don't see it being an issue for her either. She was winning that first round of that fight very, very handily, and then, things just kind of crashed at the end. But that all being said, what was it like? Did you ever see Amanda training herself? Did she ever get the opportunity to spar with anyone or put on the gloves for any moment?
Yeah, she trained a bit with Claire, and I think Brogan maybe a little bit, but I think she was still nursing a couple injuries or something, and so she was taking it easy, letting her body heal so she could really prepare for this next fight when she had to get into her fight camp.
Does she have like a fire in her? Does she want that belt back super bad?
Yeah, she says it's just on vacation. She's letting Julie have her time a little bit, but she's gonna get it back. It's actually her belt.
So one of the things that people don't realize about reality TV, and specifically being on The Ultimate Fighter, you don't get any opportunity to listen to music. You're away from family. You're away from everything. I mean, you're kind of on an island almost. What was the hardest part about that for you?
I think the hardest part was that we didn't have doors on our bedroom, so there was no privacy. So they didn't have doors, so cameras could easily like run into your room. But it was super weird getting like your phone taken away because they took it away when we were in quarantine in the hotel, and I was like pacing back and forth one night trying to look for something. I was like, what am I looking for? And I was like, oh, it's my phone. I'm like, I don't have it. And it's just so weird to like see how like attached I was to my phone. But by the end, I didn't even want to get my phone back. Like, I loved it. I loved not knowing like what was happening on the outside world. I loved not having to like constantly be checking my phone or updates or post on social media. And I thought it was kind of cool to have that like nice break and just be able to focus on fighting.
Were you able to watch anything? Were you allowed to watch fights on Saturdays or anything like that? Was there anything you were allowed to consume other than just being in the house with everyone?
Yeah, they did let us watch the UFC fights just because it was, there was no copyright issue because obviously the UFC owns those fights. So we were able to watch fights, and I was able to watch like a couple of my teammates fight. So I got to watch like Roxanne Modafferi's last fight, her retirement fight, and then Ramona, she did her UFC debut, so I was able to watch that too in the house. So it was kind of cool to be able to like watch my teammates and still root them on while I was in there.
I've heard that when I actually just watched like a roundtable about The Ultimate Fighter, and I think it was, who was it? Was it Dean Thomas? I think it was Dean Thomas who said that when you wake up in the morning, you like lights are on you. Like you're just like, you are, the second you wake up, cameras are in your face and things are happening. Did you ever acclimate to that, or was it always kind of just annoying, or was it like that now? I mean, he was on the show a long time ago.
So while you're sleeping, the lights are on and cameras are in your face. It's like all the time. You're always constantly being recorded. Like even when there's not a big camera in your face, there's little cameras like attached around the whole house just in case the big cameras miss something. But the lights were on. It was like super hard to get some good sleep just because you can turn the lights off in your bedroom, but they're like out in the main like living room area. The lights were still on, so it was like kind of hard to deal with that. So I just like slept with a pillow right over my face.
What was it like having to cut weight with, I mean, cutting weight can, you get migraines. Like I can't even imagine what that must have been like.
Yeah, I surprisingly had the easiest weight cuts I've ever had to 125 in the house, and I think it was because everything that I ate was on camera. Like there was a camera in my face, so I know if I missed weight, they would do like a compilation video of everything I ate in the house, and like, this is why she missed weight. So I actually had really easy weight cuts, and I was lucky because some people did not.
That must have been kind of difficult to have someone in your face when you're doing something as little as eating. Like did that ever like get into your head of just like, anything that I do that's wrong, they could completely, amplify and turn into this big thing?
Yeah, I think the thing I was most worried about was them picking apart sentences, because like if I said I really don't like cookies or something, then they could have took the I really don't like, and then they could have replaced that with like juju, and like I don't really like juju, and so it would have seemed like I said that sentence. So I was nervous that they were gonna like frankenbite my sentences together and make me say something that I like didn't really quite say. But luckily they didn't really do much of that at all that I noticed.
Did you kind of look into like what reality TV shows will do like before you went in?
So I'm actually like a huge reality TV junkie, and I watch a lot of like The Bachelor, Bachelorette, Love Island, and I listen to podcasts about like behind the scenes. And so I kind of knew like about The Bachelor a lot going into it and how they would do that to a lot of the contestants. I think on The Ultimate Fighter they were a lot nicer to us, and I think they really wanted us to have like a good image, so we would be fighters that like other people want to like watch fight.
What was it like being away from Alden? I mean, obviously being away from everyone, but Alden, you train with him, you've been together for so long. Was it really difficult to be away from him?
I think the only times that it was difficult was when I was like having a bad day. I was like, I just want to call someone, I want to talk to someone, I want to vent, and somebody that I trust. Like, of course I trusted my roommate Kat, and then I trusted, I think, like Bobby or whatever, but like it was hard to like know who to trust and who to talk to, because you don't know if that would be used against you.
Right. Yeah. Your first fight, you faced a really, I'm trying to remember her name, but she was so intense.
Helen.
Yes, Helen, that's who it was. Was she intimidating? Like obviously she was, but like what was it like dealing with her, I guess I should say?
Yeah, so leading up to the fight, it was kind of a nightmare. Like, I was a little bit in my head, like, this girl is a little bit intense, she's kind of crazy, she's all over the place, and I've never really watched her fights, and I think that worked towards my benefit, because I think if I would have watched her film, and knowing the girls that she's beaten in fights, I would have been way more intimidated than I was. And so it kind of worked in my favor that I wasn't able to watch film on her, because I think I would have been a little more in my head. But a lot of my teammates actually wanted to fight Helen. They're like, I want to fight Helen. And I was like, why do all you guys want to fight her? And I think they wanted to kind of like, I guess, fight like the hardest girl or like the most intimidating girl on the other team. And so when they picked me, I was like, well, if these girls are confident in fighting her, like I should be confident in fighting her. But yeah, leading up to the fight, it was kind of like a nightmare, just because like living with the person and seeing what they do, see what they eat, seeing how they act, it was just like so different than just going into a cage without knowing the person beforehand and fighting.
Was there something that surprised you about being around some of these fighters? Maybe the fact that, oh, this fighter who has this big name or has this big undefeated record, you know, only sleeps 3 hours a night or you know, doesn't take care of their body that well in between fights and things like that. Did you notice anything like that?
I mean, some people had some like personal struggles, and I think they like struggled with some certain things, and so I think that surprised me, but it also made me feel like better, because I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one that struggles before fights. Like other fighters struggle before fights, they get in their heads, they like whatever. So it's kind of nice to be able to like relate and see what other people go through before a fight camp, because normally you just see like what your teammates go through and then like what you go through. So it was nice to be able to kind of like relate to them. But I think the main thing that surprised me was how much Helen drank before fights, because I didn't know, but I guess she performs great while she drinks.
You mentioned the teammate aspect. Obviously you train here at Agema and you have teammates here that you see every single day, but you don't live with them. What was it like living with your teammates? Did you grow a closer bond maybe with them? I'm not saying you're closer with them than Agema people, but did you feel like you grew a closer bond because you were with them 24/7?
Yeah, no, I definitely grew a close bond with everybody on my team, and a couple of people from the other team too. I really like Bobby, and I really like Zach, and Jordan was pretty cool. So I think like you have to bond with the people, because you don't have any outside distractions. You don't have phones or books or anything to distract yourself. So you kind of like are forced to get to know people, and you're forced to bond with them. And plus you guys are going like through this totally unique experience that not very many people get to go through. Yeah. And so you do get bonded in that way.
When you were fighting Helen, you went to the third round, you went to a decision. What were you thinking when you were standing there with, I'm forgetting the referee, but when you were standing there with the decision about to be called?
Yeah, I had no doubt in my mind that I won the fight. And when I watched back the episode, I was like, wait, they were complaining that Helen won? And I was like, oh, like not even a doubt crossed my mind that I had lost that fight. So I was like, that was weird to watch, because I thought I had it in the bag, and I didn't think it was, like there was a chance it would go the other way.
Well, you implemented your strikes, you implemented takedowns and things like that, and that's what ended up winning you the fight, was mixing up your bag, which was very, very cool to watch. What's next for you? What's your next plan, and what do you want to do?
Yeah, so, I mean, I want to get a couple wins under my belt and then hopefully fight for the UFC. That's my ultimate goal. I don't have any other goal but to make it to the UFC, so that is my goal. And yeah, so just get a couple more wins, go.
Any specific fights on the horizon that you know of? Any talks of any promotion specifically?
So I can't really take a fight until after the finale on August 6th, just because of contract issues. But I'm thinking maybe either like Bellator. I fought for them before. I really enjoyed fighting for them. I thought they were an awesome promotion. Or maybe trying out PFL. I've never fought for them. So I don't know, a little bit bigger of a promotion, but then ultimately just kind of make my way back to the UFC.
Last question. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about it. Your TikTok and your Instagram reels are hilarious. Where did that start? How did that become a thing? And have you always been this funny? Like you crack me up. Like you are so funny.
I'm glad you think I'm funny, because I'm like, this is either really funny or really cringy. I don't know, probably both. But even since I was little, like me and my friend would make little like videos on like old cameras, and that we don't have today. Like all the footage is gone, thank goodness. But so I really enjoy making videos and making people laugh and trying to like turn like maybe like a touchy situation into something funny, or making it a little bit lighter. So I really actually truly like enjoy making Instagram videos and like TikToks and Reels. So I'm glad you think they're funny.
Oh. Well, Kaytlin, I can't tell you how grateful I am for the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you so much, and good luck in the future.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
This week is a busy one at UOP with the Springer Soiree taking place. We talked to Sam Masuga earlier this week about how you can get involved. Hey everyone, right now we are joined by Sam Masuga of USA Nordic to talk a little bit about some exciting events that are coming up in the next couple of weeks here. Sam, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we've got the Springer Soiree. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Soiree, yeah.
Soiree, I'm so sorry. And then we also have the Tournée?
Yeah, Tournée.
Tournée. I want to make sure I get those correct, but thank you so much. Can you explain a little bit about what the Tournée is first?
Yeah, so every year we have a week where all the ski jumpers around the country come together. It's a big deal because the younger jumpers get to get like some one-on-one training with the national team, us, and then we also, it used to be nationals, but this year it's just a competition for us to kind of see where we're at in the summer. So the Tournée is on our normal sized hill, and all the national team members compete.
Wow, and so it's going to be this big competition, and is it open to everyone, or is there a way for people to get tickets and things like that?
For the competition, you actually don't need tickets. It's open to the public. It's at Utah Olympic Park on Saturday the 30th. It's at 7 a.m. in the morning. You can come a little bit later. It goes until 9:30, but anyone's welcome to come.
That's so cool. And so there's going to be youth there as well. They're not competing, but they're just kind of watching and things like that. And
yeah, they have competitions earlier in the week, and then they come on Saturday just to see, like, it's kind of like a here's where you'll be at eventually. Like, come watch the older jumpers.
Yeah. Have you had the opportunity to be one of those younger kids, and now you're one of the people in the big show?
Yeah, it helps with the pipeline. Like, you get to go like do some testing with older jumpers, get some advice from them, and then you work your way up to the jumps until you're in the actual Springer Tournée and you're jumping on the big hills.
Unbelievable. That must be pretty cool to be able to see, your development from that to from where you were to where you are now, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's fun to be at the top. You like take your jump, and then the younger jumpers are down there, and like I remember being one of the kids in the crowd and being like, wow, that's so cool.
And so now there's another half of it as well, is that correct?
Yeah.
And so what is that specifically?
So we do a fundraiser every single year. So Wednesday the 27th, we're having our soiree, which is it's like an intimate, it's hosted at my house actually. So it's kind of, we get everybody together, we have an auction, we have all the jumpers come and interact with people. So it's kind of just meet the jumpers, help us raise funds for this year, especially because post-Olympics, it's a really hard year for us to get money.
I would understand completely why. And so all of this is going to be taking place not this week, but next week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and so everything that comes involved in that, it's a full week thing, is that correct?
Yeah, for the public, the most important things would probably be the fundraiser on Wednesday the 27th and competition on Saturday the 30th, but it is a week-long thing for us.
Yeah, so the fundraiser is on Wednesday, you said, and what time is that? Where is that?
It's at 6 p.m. The address is on our website, usanordic.org, and you can buy tickets there.
Okay, and then the actual competition you said is Saturday, is that correct?
Yes, Saturday, 7 a.m.
Saturday at 7 a.m. So people will definitely want to make sure to go to that.
Yes.
What is maybe the most exciting thing that goes on during that week, or specifically during that competition?
It's a really important competition for us because it helps us figure out who's going to what competitions in the upcoming season, because ski jumping is a fun sport. We compete in the summer. Mm-hmm. Like we don't have World Cups, we have Grand Prix, which are the equivalent. And so that competition is really important for us. So everybody's really jumping their best because we all want to have a spot at one of those Grand Prix.
I know we've talked to people like Casey Larson on this show. Are those some of the names we're going to be seeing?
Casey Larson, there's Anna Hoffman, she was just at the past Olympics. It was her first time. We're going to have the whole Nordic combined teams there, a whole team of guys that went to the Olympics. So lots of Olympians, all national team members. It's going to be cool.
That's going to be super, super exciting. I can't wait, and I'm sure that this is just one of the things that gets you prepped and ready. You mentioned that you're specifically training in the summer, but do you also compete in the winter? I would assume so.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
Of course you do.
Yeah, so summer is kind of, we compete, but it's more heavy on the training side and figuring things out. Like, it's where you try new things and figure out, like, maybe new techniques for ski jumping. And then in the winter, we hit the ground hard and just go over to Europe, follow the circuit, and you kind of just status quo.
At this time, what are you specifically working on yourself? What are some of your main goals for the next little bit?
My biggest goal for the next winter is to make the World Championships team. And so I'm really working on figuring out my flying. I've kind of got like my in run and my takeoff figured out, but I really want to figure out how to keep everything together and just work on flying farther.
Well, Sam, thank you so much again. We really appreciate the time. That's going to do it for today's episode of The Scoreboard. This next Friday, we are going to be joined by a whole lot more interesting athletes telling their stories, and we are gearing up for football season in just a couple of weeks. For the entire Scoreboard team, I am Blake O'Rulean, and we will see you all on Friday.